Hi book lovers, my name is Christina and welcome back to Cozy Novel Niche. And in this case, the welcome back is for myself more than to you, because I disappeared for some months and I'm very sorry about it. First of all, sorry if you can hear any noise. I hope that the mic is saving the day here, because some neighbors are cutting grass and some other neighbors' children are just screaming and fighting and crying for no apparent reason. And of course, it all started when I pressed record. So yeah, that's the background noise if you can hear it. Plus, my husband is playing Call of Duty. So yeah, that's the perfect moment to film a video apparently. Let's get first things first into the nasty part, and it's the reason why I was absent from this channel. As you may see, nothing has changed in the background, and it's because we're still living here in our house/apartment, and we're not living in our proper house that we've owned for 2 years at this point, paying and everything, but in which we cannot live because we have no floors, no doors, no windows, and the situation is frustrating and I'm so angry. I have so much built up anger and sadness and everything on top of that, that pretty much in the last months I stopped doing anything. Like I've stopped reading for a while. I stopped doing doing all the things that I usually love to do. Even meeting with friends, I started to do it less and less, just because I'm so overwhelmed and frustrated and just tired. And I had a bunch of issues at my workplace too, and everything put together, some family situations and stuff like that, everything put together is just so much at this point. I really need something to go in the right direction, and I'm starting with myself. So the only thing that I can control is the way I react to situations, and I decided that I want to get my life back in my hands, and so I want to start doing things that I love again. And this is one of those things. So here I am filming this video today, even if it's not exactly the perfect moment, because the light is not very great and I had no time to prepare properly to film it, but I decided to get to it on a whim. So here we are. That's the reason of the messiness of the content today. And so yeah, that's that. But let's get to the main part of this video. I know that it's not bookish related. I will film immediately the bookish related one, but this one is something that I promised I would film. I don't know if it will be really interesting for you, but I hope that it will be useful maybe for someone, because if you remember, I went on my honeymoon this year and we went to Japan for 2 weeks in between March and April, in the perfect moment. We've seen sakura blossoming. It was lovely and amazing, and such a fond and beautiful memory for me and my husband. But what I wanted to tell you are just a couple of, I hope, useful things, or better, apps that you should definitely download if you're planning to go to Japan and if you're European. So that's the premise. If you're European or coming from Europe and you want to go to Japan, this may be very useful for you. And the reason why I'm focusing on Europe, you will see it just in a couple of minutes. So I still have on my phone here the selection of apps on a folder that I called Japan. I don't know if you can see it. And there are 5 apps in total that I quite consistently use. I mean, I use more 3 of them, but I will get to the other 2 too, because they're still very useful for your trip. The very first app that was absolutely essential for me, that I don't usually use, and I will delete after this video, I just kept it for the purpose of this video, is Firefox. Firefox is a browser, as you know, as everyone knows, and I usually use Chrome on my phone, but I had to download Firefox because coming from Europe in April, you had to just go through 3 different steps when you were arriving in Japan. and one of the steps was to show, of course, that you were fully vaccinated. One of the steps were declarations about what you were bringing with you, and so on and so forth. And for some of those you had to generate a QR code to show to the people working at the airport, so it wasn't enough all the documentation that I was able to create online, but you also had to access to a QR code and show it. And for whatever reason it wasn't working on Chrome when I arrived in Japan, and that was quite complicated to fix. But in the end we understood that Chrome wasn't functioning properly and Firefox was. So my suggestion for you is download Firefox just in case, just to go through the customs and stuff like that, immigration, when you arrive in the airport, and then delete it, because that's what I'm doing just right now. I'm finally deleting it from my phone because I don't use it. I mean, if it's already your browser, then roll with it and use it, but if it's not, it could be useful for you to download it. Then the second one that I, of course, used very much from day one till the last moment that I was in Japan was, how do you call it? It's not value, it's monetary converter. How? Oh my god, how do you call it? Ah, gosh, I don't remember. I mean, it's an app called Euro to Japanese yen, sorry. It's Euro to Japanese yen. I don't know if you can see anything. It's very basic. But pretty much what it asks you is that you may write the amount of euros and just see this amount, the rates that it corresponds into in Japanese yens, and vice versa. And it was so useful. The only thing is that you need to open it and just scroll it once so that it will update, and you may verify the date it's updated to, so that you have the right rate for the day. And this way you always know how much you're spending, because when you're traveling somewhere and the currency is completely foreign, then it could be so tempting to buy everything that you see, because you don't have the exact idea of the amount of money that you're spending. And this is a great reality check. I mean, I used it every time, sometimes with very surprising results, like when I've seen how much fruit costs or vegetable costs, and it was, whoa, mind-blowing. Anyhow, this is very useful, unless you're very familiar with yen. I wasn't. I mean, I had a general idea, but since I didn't want every time I was buying something to just calculate in my head how much it could be on average, I just wanted a definite price. This was it. As easy as Euro to Japanese yen. So that's one more app that was very useful during my trip. The third app that was again used every single day was Weather Japan. And Weather Japan is an app, of course, for the weather, and it was very useful because we moved around Japan, and I was able to just see what was the weather like to the place that we were going or coming, and just seeing in general if I needed like an extra jumper, or if it was okay like that, or if I would need an umbrella or not, just to have an idea. And it was quite relatable, quite reliable. It was quite reliable for a weather app. So Weather Japan, a great app for your weather checking moment. Yeah, as you may see, I've also quite forgotten how to speak in English, because I've not done it for a long time. So yeah, my English is rusty and just random right now, but this video is useful for that reason too. Then the fourth app on my phone that I actually used more before the trip to Japan, and not so much during the trip, was Japan Official Travel App. And it's called like that, Japan Official Travel App. And you can definitely find pretty much everything in here. There is the weather, there are some restaurant suggestions, some information about stations, and stuff like that, you can definitely go through it and see a lot of content. But when I was there in Japan, I just didn't want to have so much information. I just really wanted to enjoy the place and see for myself and decide for myself on a whim where to go, what to get. So yeah, that was a thing, absolutely. And so I didn't end up using it so much, but if you want to just gather some suggestions before going to Japan, just in order to create an itinerary for you, then it could be definitely useful. But the other app that I use, this one I use on a daily basis pretty much, and it's called Navi Time. Navi Time. And this little app is everything. I mean, I have it here in Italian. I don't know, I think that it's available in many different languages. I'm not sure about it, but if you're Italian, it's amazing for you. And it was useful for the transportation. It was so easy to use. It also had the part of like the more general guide, like for example, exchanging foreign cash to yen, dealing with money in Japan, save on sightseeing in Tokyo. It has all of the suggestions. It has some itineraries already ready for you, but then it has also these maps. And on these maps you can see all of the stations, all of the main things to see and to do. Plus you can select places with free Wi-Fi, places with the exchange currency, places with ATMs, stations with or without lockers. And that was a just lifesaver changer, life game changer, life changer, whatever, because at some points we definitely needed to have lockers for our luggage when we were moving, and it was just amazing. And then you were just able to put in it your itinerary from your station, starting station, and to where you were supposed to go, the hour, the amount of tickets, and you just go with it, and it shows you exactly on what platform the train will be arriving. It shows you what carriage you can get on, because some carriages are for people with ticket that were pre-ordered, some for people with ticket that were just bought on the place. It has all of that information, and it makes life so easier when you're traveling there. I just was able to see everything at the moment, and it was very intuitive and easy to go through. Just exactly what I needed and what I wanted from an app. Very essential, very easy to go through. The only thing that I want to say about trains, however, if you're planning to go to Japan and you're from Europe or probably any other country, you may actually underestimate the famous Japanese punctuality of trains, because yes, sometimes they can be late. It's not true that they are always on time. But when they are on time, which is the majority of the cases, you have to know that the time that they show you, like the train will depart at 17:05, and then you're used to the fact that the train will arrive at 17:05. Well, no, in Japan 17:05 is the moment when the doors will close and the train will leave the station. So just be prepared. You have to be there sooner. And mostly for like the very rapid trains, as soon as the doors open and people get off the train, you need to jump on, because the doors, they stay open like 60 seconds and then they just depart. So you have to be very quick. We were very fortunate because we've never were left on the station, and we've never seen the train leaving without us, but we almost risked it at a couple of moments. So just mind it, you need to be very on time when you're taking public transportation in Japan. And yeah, these are the 5 apps that I used the most. Of course I used Google Translate. It was very useful in some moments. Like there is a function in the app that helps you to translate images, and it was useful when we were just getting some menus or stuff like that. But what I suggest to you, if you've never used it before, just try and take in the picture very small portions of an image, of a text. Like for example, if you have a whole menu, don't try and just take a picture of a whole page, because then the translation is just gibberish. But if you try and focus on smallish parts, it will work much better. And then the last suggestion comes from Municorn. When we met in Japan, it actually was very useful hearing from her that our Google, like general Google app that we use while seeing like recommendations and suggestions for restaurants and evaluations of restaurants, like generally on Google, is not usually used by local people in Japan. They have a different way of rating places. So the high ratings that you see are not from Japanese people, are all from tourists like you. So if you want to try something more like local, or if you want to go to a place that's really loved by locals, you definitely need to use your eyes more than your phone. So you have to go and stay in line with people that are waiting outside from a restaurant. If that line is mostly composed of local people, that's a great indicator of a place that locals love. If the whole line is formed only strictly by foreigners and tourists, then probably something is a little bit amiss, and they're all using Google, and you end up in places that are they're not bad, absolutely, but probably there is some place that it is more hidden and has a flavor and just an atmosphere that would be more authentic than the one that you're visiting at that moment. So that's a suggestion. Try and use your eyes more than Google when searching for places to eat, but there is nothing bad in using Google at all. Just go with whatever works for you. And yeah, this is it for this video. It was very random. I don't know how many people will just appreciate it or will even refer to it, but I hope it was still somehow useful, and I will see you very soon in my next video that I will be filming immediately, so that I will have already 2 videos, and at this point it's just, I'm in the game. I cannot back up. I cannot go back, and I will for sure film this one, and then the next days I will try and film even more, so that I finally get to some summer content, and finger crossed everything will be alright, and I will stay consistent starting from now till the end of the year. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you very soon. Bye. Ciao.